Smoke just sort of thrown me under the bus here. He texted me a week ago and says, "Oh, could you come and talk to my refs? Because you did something over North Harbour and talked to the refs there." And Greedy said you did a good job, and I said, "Oh, yeah, sweet." So that was, I think, 5 young refs a couple of times, and now I'm talking to a whole lot of refs in one go. So thanks much. I did sit on the bench for about 40 games for Auckland. There was a guy, Fox, he was pretty useful, I think, in his game, and bastard wouldn't come off. And I guess my career was summed up by the fact that I left a week early to go to Italy to play, and Auckland played Canterbury the week after. JC sat on the bench, and Foxy pulled his hamstring and came off, and I sat on the bench 17 games, didn't get on, and JC sat on the bench for 1 and got on. So I decided to move to the better side and go to Waikato, and had much pleasure in them coming down, and we beat them when they came down, and come back up here and we beat them on Eden Park. I was sitting back on the same bench actually, Fozzie was playing, but at least I wasn't the last Auckland player to lose on Eden Park, which I had been for about 10 years, because we'd lost to Canterbury. I'm now, as Smudge said, in North Harbour. I moved back to where I came from originally. When I left school I played for Northcote, so I went back to my old club. Got on the board in North Harbour because I badgered Brett Hollister about how poor it was run for 4 years, and so he got me onto the board. And that was a learning curve, and I've just resigned from that, and as Smudge said, pursuing a little bit of coaching. He didn't really give me too much of a brief in terms of what I was meant to cover off, but gave me a few things, so I'm open to questions. And I guess the thing I did with the Harbour refs is having, as a player, abused them for a long time, and got told off quite a few times. When I retired in Waikato, they said, "Oh, will you come and ref? We'll fast track you, and we'll be a Prem ref in a year or two." And I said, "Have I not refed enough games for you so far? So I probably don't need to carry on." But the coaching the Prem team, and I said to Smudge before, the biggest, I guess, movement from personally, and I think from a North Harbour ref's point of view, has been the introduction of Huddle, where all the games are videoed, and all the teams that are onto it actually analyse them and use them, not to the same extent we're going to do at Mitre 10, but to, I guess, just watch our players. And people say, "Oh, aren't you concerned that opposition will be able to watch what you're trying to do?" And I says, "I'm coaching them Tuesday, Thursday, I watch them on Saturday, I know what we're trying to do, and if you can watch the video and work out what we're trying to do, you're better than me." So, but I think in terms of a relationship with the refs, it enabled us to ask questions of the refs. I mean, a few of the refs I had issues with questioning, and they had issues with me probably questioning. But over the 3 years, because we had the video analysis, we could bounce ideas off each other. And now, I mean, for those of you that know JP, you know JP, Jonathan Patterson? Yeah, well, JP's a little officious. He did tell me to fuck off once on a domain after I asked him a question after the game, but now we get on really well and talk about the rules. And I think it's broken down that barrier between us and them. And I guess as a coach's point of view, it's really helpful if refs talk to you and explain things. I mean, there's some things he goes, "No, this is what we're seeing, and this is why I ref that way," and other times he goes, "Yeah, shit, I made a mistake there." And I think that's the biggest thing. I think that the communication has really worked, and we can talk about things before and after games and realise that we're all on the same page. We're all trying to do well in the game. How long does the speech need to be for?
3.5 hours.
Okay, cool.
No, another half an hour.
Okay, we've got some videos we can watch. And I guess, so what we did at North Harbour is Greenie asked me to come along with his younger refs and just talk about how we see it and how give them some insights, I guess, in terms of what we do and what we're trying to achieve, and what we expect from the ref and what we want from the ref. Because there's a few refs over there that I guess don't communicate too well, and obviously, like who'd want a ref, because there's always one team that's really pissed off because they lost and they're going to blame someone, and there's one team that's happy. But encouraging the rest to come into the club room and having a beer and just chatting about things, and then that's really broken down the barriers between us and the refs, I think, and really helped. I mean, in terms of our coaching and the reffing, because they appreciate, they see the different styles and what we're trying to do. I mean, I do recall a time when I was sent off as a coach actually from the park, which apparently wasn't a first for a Craise family at Northcote, because my dad had been done that before. But you know, in terms of, and it was a junior boys game, and we were getting humped by Massey, and my little white Northcote boys weren't faring too well, and so I was trying to encourage them to just tap everything and run. And you know, the ref, as I was walking out and scoring again, to try and talk to my team, give them some water, and I said, "Oh mate, when you give us a penalty, can you make the mark, just because we want to speed the game up, because we're just getting humped." And so he sent me from the park for that. And so, I mean, it's I guess an ability as a ref to see what the team's trying to do and help them, enable them to do that, not hinder them. Like, you know, if one team's getting humped and they need to speed the game up, it becomes pretty obvious. And I think if you dick around going, "Oh, I'll just talk to this guy before I make a mark," it inhibits the game. And saying at the player's point of view or the coach's point of view. But I mean, to be able to talk to refs about that and say, "Hey, this is what we're trying to do," and then them go, "Okay, well, yep, see your point," because we're all in it for the same cause. Our captain came along to the meeting with these boys, the refs, and one interesting point which I said to Smudge before is he's a qualified lawyer and a little bit opinionated, and his biggest thing to the refs was that he wants to be heard, like he wants the acknowledgement that he's been heard. Like I can say, "Hey, ref, can you watch them, you know, as the captain, can you watch them because they're doing this?" And some refs just ignore that and just completely shut off, and that pisses the players off. If you go, "Yep, I've seen it, I'll keep an eye on it," that's all he wants. And that was an interesting point from him as a captain to be able to express that to the young refs, and I think they took that on board. That's much. How many? 2 more hours? As a successful coach, how do I want to... Okay, I've covered that. Yeah, how should a ref build a good relationship with coach and manager? I think just that communication thing. I think one of the things that came out of our little group at North Harbour was that they bought a thing that, and I don't know if you got it over here, that immediately after the game, like on the field, that the coaches don't approach the ref, because it's really easy to be frustrated with the things that happened in the last 5 minutes if it's close, and badger the ref at that point of time. Whereas we said, well, we want to talk to them, and some of them don't come in the club room and they don't make a time. You know, they might have to bugger off, which is fair enough. But if they go and, you know, if you've got 15 minutes, it cools down, we go to our shed and we're still pissed off we lost, but we're not so frustrated with the fact that in the last 5 minutes we thought these decisions went against us. We can have a good conversation, and if the refs make themselves available to have that conversation, if they're not covered in the club room, that's fine, but just outside the changing rooms, just have a quick chat about, hey, we saw this, what do you think? So that there's communication, and there's a couple of refs over there that didn't like to come into the club room. We said, well, as long as they make that time for us to chat about it, then we're happy with that. And so I think it was a win for the refs, because they didn't have coaches that were going to approach them straight on the park as walking off, where they're obviously the same as players, thinking about what's happened, and I guess not emotional but involved in the game, whereas they've had time to cool off as well. And so it really, I think, expresses a little bit of I guess consideration for the other party. So we made the rule, hey, none of the Prem coaches talk to the ref on the field, but they will be available like 15, 20 minutes later, or in the club room. So I think that was a good thing. I don't know if you have that rule here.
No, there's no set rule. But I try and get everybody to disengage straight after the game, as they're walking off to say, look, let me just go and have a shower and I'll come back and talk to you, especially when they're heated.
Yeah, exactly. And I think before we didn't have the protocol, hey, they will make themselves available. It was like, well shit, this might be the only chance I get to talk to them. So you went on the field and talked to them. How do you build a winning culture within your championship winning teams? Interesting as well. That's much. I guess it's probably a cliche that probably everyone uses and don't stick by it, but no dickheads. And we stick by that. It's great to see the Aussie Rugby Union actually sticking with that now too. My personal opinion, but it's taken us a couple of years. I was fortunate enough to coach at Ross Mini and then coach our 21s. We got a lot of kids from school that came to play for our 21s, and we lost a final and we won a final and we took a few through to the championship, the Prems, and they brought their mates. And I guess the reality is that Prem Rugby now is, in inverted commas, social, because most guys running around playing Prem Rugby have very little chance of playing Mitre 10, if we're honest with them. That kids are picked from schools, put in academies, and like it or not, I think that unions invest so much in these kids, they look like idiots if they don't keep picking them. So kids, by the time they're 21, 22, have either made it or they haven't, and the smart kids give up. And that's probably why we haven't got many rugby players in New Zealand anymore. But we just built an attitude of enjoyment, and obviously we enjoy winning, and most people do. So we just got a good group of guys, and we've had a few come and not stay because they get squeezed out by the attitude, I guess, that everyone gets on and they have a good time and you fit in, or you something off.
Yeah.
FIFO was an accounting term, isn't it? First in, first out. It was fit in or something off. So we sort of run that policy, and I mean,
Who runs that? The management or
the boys?
The team?
The boys. I mean, the people in, well, I shouldn't say it because you just got appointed, but the people of North Harbour probably think that I coached the team that won the championship. Well, I did. I was the coach, and Brett Bedwell and I, Brett played for Otahu, who got humped by ponies on Saturday. Haven't had a chance to talk to him about that yet. But he and I facilitate it for the boys. I mean, we've got, I guess in terms of, if we look at our squad, we had Bryn Hall, who doesn't ever play for us. I think he's played one game in the 3 years I coached. Murphy Taramai, who came up from Wellington, he plays for us, as Harbour boy. And shit, have we got any others? Not too many. We've probably only got one or two in the North Harbour team. And Danny Drake, who's probably the success story of North Harbour Rugby, played 5th 15 at Westlake, came to play at Northcote and wanted to make our 21s. He was a lock, and we said, where do you jump, 2 or 4? He said, I don't jump. He said, I'll go and play 19s and learn how to jump for a year. And so he played number 8 for the 19s, and next year he played for us and was in and out of the Prems and got a full contract for North Harbour this year, 3 years later. And just a kid who was playing rugby because he loved it, and that's sort of what Northcote's about. I don't know if it's public yet, but he's probably got a contract overseas to play. And 4 years ago he was playing under 19s at Northcote because he couldn't jump in the line-out. But those are the sort of guys we build it around. I mean, we've got Ryan Thompson, who plays development. Probably half a dozen guys that play in the B team, which is called the development team, but it's pretty much social now. I mean, when I played Auckland B, we had a team that beat Hawke's Bay and beat King Country and teams like that. But now, even those guys, it's your B teams. This is all, and I say, your B team is really there to give 6 or 8 guys who are in your Mitre 10 team games while they're not at the top in the squad. The rest of them really have not much chance of playing for the A team, and that's the reality of Mitre 10 now. It's the reality of rugby. So I mean, we've got a bunch of guys that actually play because they enjoy it, and I guess that's probably the biggest thing that has come through at Northcote. We've got stars. I mean, we get Murph come from Wellington, and part of my board role is I have to go to a few AGMs, so we go to Mahu, who give us grief that all the players that come to town go to the best club. And I'm like, well, we haven't had anyone come to town apart from Murph. And I said, Murphy came to town. We got the email a week later because Jacko forgot me off the list, and he said, oh, this kid's coming to town, he wants an apprenticeship. And I rang up Terry Bluck, who owns Auckland Laser Electrical, was a Northcote boy that I know, and said, got a kid, wants an electrical apprenticeship, coming up to play for Northcote if we can get him an apprenticeship. Could email Murph and say, hey, we've got an apprenticeship, here it is, this is the company, look at the website, blah, blah, blah. Found him flat, and he came here and I met him when he first came up. And that's how we get players. I mean, we don't pay players. I know some of the clubs, both this side of the bridge and the other side of the bridge, pay players and coaches, which I think is ridiculous. You want to get money, go to the next level, or 2 levels up. But that's their prerogative. So, I mean, we've built a culture on having fun and a good bunch of boys. And whether they go a three-peat this year will be a close-run thing. They've lost a few players. And that group will move, and I think next year you could see Northcote really close to the bottom because there's a wave of guys coming through that are playing close. I think if the ones that get there this year, there'll be 4 Centurions in that team, which is pretty unheard of in club rugby nowadays. And also a few guys on the fringe of Mitre 10 who are knocking on the door, and they will leave to go somewhere else. So it's sort of a bit of a bubble. I mean, and we run the team, the boys say what we want. We're on a Viber group with our captain, Craise, me, Nick Smith, who came from Pakuranga, and Blake Hall, Bryn's brother. And so that 5, we message saying, hey, what do you boys want to do for training? This is what we're thinking. And we work with them. So they run the team. I mean, some coaches like to yell instructions and tell them what to do. We let them get out there, and they're the guys out there playing. So we run training according to putting our little bits in, but they generally manage the team and run the team. So they've created the culture. It's not our team, it's their team. Which sounds like a bit of a cliche, but that's the way we work. Any interesting stories? Yeah. Apart from when we went to Tonga, you went on that trip, didn't you? Possibly.
I
Did you?
go, no.
Oh, okay. Thought you were there. Well, we were billeted. It was pretty interesting. No, I guess referees had a couple of interesting stories with refs. I mean, I got on pretty well with some refs. There's a guy, Hugh Chisholm, that refed in Waikato a long time ago. He was a country ref, so he hated the town teams. So he did manage to march us 60 metres once on Rugby Park number 1. And Paddy said, where to now, the dead bull line? Hugh didn't like that. We still won, but no thanks to him. But Alan Riley ref there. Alan came up here, and he's a good bugger, and we used to have a yak, and I was taking a conversion once and walking back, and I said, because he made the mark where you could take it. And I said, thanks, Alan. I said, as I was making my mark, because we used to go like this in those days. And I was walking back, and I said, I guess it's probably ref, isn't it? I probably shouldn't call you Alan. He said, you heard that bullshit too? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm lining up the kick. He goes, I bet you a pint you don't get it. I said, okay, you're on. Bang. That's Alan. So he bought me a pint afterwards. But it was pretty good. And I don't know the ref we had. We played, I think we played Thames Valley at Rugby Park once. And he's a pretty straight up ref. I can't remember his name though. And their halfback ran down the blind side, and John Mitchell grabbed him, probably around the collar, threw him into the hoardings and said, you ever fucking run down the blind side again, I'm going to pull your head off and shove it up your ass. The halfback got up and he said, Ref, did you hear that? He said, yeah. He said, what are you going to do? He said, well, if I was you, I wouldn't run down the blind side. True story. Thought that was pretty good. Yeah, I don't think there's too many other humorous stories that I can tell. But now I'm open to questions and comments. I'll give you what I think. What else do you want me to cover, Spot?
Just a question from me at the moment. To do with laws, etc., how much time have you invested in the law, and how much time have your players invested in the law? What have you done as a coach, and what did you do as a player?
As a player, I thought I knew them all, and didn't know many. But I mean, when the rule changes come out, especially there's a couple of changes about 3 or 4 years ago around the breakdown and what you could and couldn't do, and then they got away from that. And I guess the plane of the touchline was another one that they changed. We got refs down to our trainings, talk about things, and tried to see how they are reffing things. And the boys said, hey, what if I do this? And what if I do that? Can I do this? And that helped. I know some clubs didn't take the refs up on the offer, but that was pretty interesting. I recently did, I don't know, whatever course it was, because every time I applied for a coaching job, they'd say, what qualifications you got? I'd say a BCom. Does that help? But apparently it didn't. But I did the level 2, is it? International coaching thing, which was, it was interesting, it was good, we'd run it. But they gave us, you had to do the law, you had to do the test, which was pretty interesting. And I saw JP at the thing and he said, how'd you go? I said, probably got about 65, maybe 70% right, because I didn't know how many dots were across the 5 metre line for a start. Across the field, I thought that was a bit obscure, but I guessed and I was right. Another one where if you stood up in a mall and you were unbound to anyone, what was the ruling? Apparently you get penalised, but as JP said, why would you stand up in a mall and not be bound to anyone? I'm not sure that would come out. But yeah, some of the, a lot of the rules, I mean, a lot of them are pretty open to interpretation. Actually Jeff Alley commented on Facebook last night about this watching the sevens, and I think Danny Morrison replied to him and told him what he thought, because reffing, he just put a picture up of one of the Aussie guys, obviously not holding his feet and flagging out, but he said the refs ref are slightly different in the sevens, so that's his interpretation of it and why they were reffing that way. But yeah, we try and get the refs along early in the season, and you get to know what, I guess, because we have a rotation of about 5 refs, you get to know the style. A guy doesn't mind me saying, but actually lives over here and he refs in North Harbour. Brian Borthwaite. Brian's, from a coach and player's point of view, outstanding ref. And I said, you communicate. The boys always say they know where they stand. You tell them straight up. And he said he gets told off for talking too much to the players. So that's a fine balance. You don't want to become too engrossed in chatting to everyone. But understanding people interpreting it, and the thing about huddle. I mean, Silverdale scored a try against us a couple of years ago, and JP was always pretty officious towards us, and I could send him a clip and say, well, is that guy allowed to jump out of the line out like that and take the pass off the halfback? And I said, I'm only asking because it's not the fact that, it's the fact that we want to be able to defend that if people can do that. I said, the fact that he scored was because we missed 6 tackles. I said, I'm not getting it for that, but can he do that? And he came back and he said, actually I should have penalised him because he left before the ball was thrown in or whatever. And I think that's the biggest thing, is learning on the go about what's happening, and being able to ask refs and go, well shit, is that legit? And then going, oh yep, that's legit. So you go, okay, well we need to learn and adjust our game to suit that. If that's what, and I think you guys have probably all acknowledged some refs have a different bent. Some things you really like to police quite well, and other guys let it go a little bit more. And we get to sort of know that a little bit in terms of, on the day, we tell our players, if this might be the law, but if that's the way the ref's reffing it, you've got to adjust your game. So,
Brett, I think that's quite a really powerful piece though that you talked about. You talked about JP. First of all, you used to have quite an antagonistic relationship between you and Hunt,
it's
correct?
not friendly towards him. no, we do.
But then you ask him a question about law and he puts his hand up and he says he got it wrong. And from that time, your relationship changed, correct? You ended up having a lot better relationship between the two.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Even as a player, I mean, I've had the ref go, Chip, as a captain, you go, well, hang on, and he goes, look, yeah, I think I'm wrong, but I can't change my mind. At least that acknowledgement is like, shit, if the ref just goes, I've made my decision, and you go, well, shit, he got it wrong though. If he goes, well, shit, I'm wrong, but I've made the decision and I'm not going to reverse it, I can't. Well, then you go, oh, acknowledgement of, okay, shit, the guy's human, And I think that's the biggest thing, is breaking down that barrier between us and them. Because certainly the players don't know most of the rules. The coaches know a little bit more, but not much.
No, and that was my point about asking you about how much time you spend on the law, and you're looking at the changes in law, but actually no one ever went back and learnt all the rest of the laws and they know the changes. And I've heard Murray Mexted or someone else talk about the laws on the TV, and they think that that's gospel. And so, you're right, the players don't know the laws, but at times if we get it wrong, right time and place, be prepared to say you got it wrong. You'll get a lot of currency out of saying you got it wrong. And also, as Brett said, you'll know that you can't change your decision. And they'll know that as well. But they'll accept that you're big enough to say, I got that wrong. Sorry, there was a question over here, I think.
Yeah. Is there any one or two bugs refs do that really pisses you off?
I guess the biggest bugbear is probably saying you're going to ref one thing at the start of the game when you talk to them, and then they go out there and do something completely different. Say, hey, I'm going to, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to allow you to do that. And then you go out there and you're like, well, you said you weren't going to do that. It's really, really hard. I mean, if you watch, and I guess as pump back to huddle is watching, and you go, well, shit. At most breakdowns you can penalise someone, and the ref going, hey, like if it happens here and our captain is good, you see it over here and it goes to the next breakdown, you go, well, hey, you should have penalised that guy. You say, well, yeah, but I know he did something wrong, but it didn't impede the game, and I'll have a word to him about it. And I think the policing of things sometimes has gone over the top now. Like, in our day, if some of the forwards jump off his other shoulder or something, or someone grabbed the jersey, the guy smacked them in the face, then the ref would turn around and go, well, I saw you grab his jersey and you probably got what you deserved, and carry on. Because the penalty sometimes didn't hurt. The 3 rucks that I went to in my career, 2 of them were by accident. I got dragged in. It was dark and people were standing on you, and it wasn't the penalty that hurt, it was getting rucked. And then the ref going, well, you were penalised as well for lying there, and you got rucked. Now guys just kill the ball deliberately because they know nothing can happen. They get penalised and they play professionally. But in saying that, I mean, you've cleaned up some of the players that I used to play against and with that probably deserve to be cleaned up. So yeah, I think that's the biggest bugbear, is saying this is what this is how I ref this before the game, and then the game starts, and then something completely different. I'm really going to be strict on guys leaving their feet at the breakdown, and the first 20 minutes is guys leaving their feet all over the place. And I think not sorting out shit, that's that's a feel, I think. You can see that there's some niggling shit happening here and there, and you can shut it down by just going, this is it, you two, both in the bin, saw what you did, any more shit? Because some teams they'll continue to do it until if that's their modus operandi, that they're going to operate like that. If the ref loses it and keeps going for 60 minutes, it's too long. So if anything, I'd suggest, get on top of it straight away and go, hey, I know what you're doing. I used to have a mate who played first five and he ended up like looking like a prop. And he reffed and he used to go in the first scrum and go, look, I know what you guys are up to. They had no idea because he was first five. But because of stature, they thought he was a prop. So he cleaned them up, I know what you're trying to do in there. So I guess having a little bit of affinity for the game and sorting the players out, because they'll push the boundaries as much as they can. So getting on top of them and saying, hey, I could have penalised you there because you did that, or the old late hit on the first five. Like, oh well, I'll let that go, but go to the seven and go, mate, I saw you hit him late. It didn't impact the game. You do it again, you'll be off. And that's all you need to do, because otherwise you're going to do it 3 more times, and then you're going to send him off. And if Jack Griffey's playing for you like he did with me, head whack of 7 for hitting me as first five, and then you've got 2 guys to send to the bin.
As a coach, were you coaching your players to keep pushing the referee until he did something?
No, not really. I mean, we played our game, and that's all we worried about. We're trying to play our game, speed the game up when we could, do what we did, but not to. But I mean, everyone slow the ball down, try and get in there and make their ball a little bit slower, legally or illegally, if you can get away with it. But knowing where and when you can't do it, like no point doing it under your goalposts and giving away 3 points. Do it further out. But no, I mean, we don't set out to break the rules. You just play the game as you play the game. I mean, we play with the ball in hand and set targets to move. I mean, the game's really structured now, so guys know where they're meant to be and they all play that way. Most teams do.
What sorts of things are you doing to influence the tempo? Like you sort of touched on it, but obviously like quick line-outs and all the set, quick taps, stuff like that. But what
I mean, so if we're kicking a line kick, our hooker's job's to get to the sideline and find a spare ball. So he's got it. We've called our line-out move. We know what we're doing when we get there. Because I get onto our forwards all the time. It's like, the first five's kicking for 20 seconds or whatever, to kick it out. And then you see a forward pack arrive and then they start calling their line out. It's like, did you not have 20 seconds here to sort shit out when you got there? So yeah, things like that. Our hooker's job would be go get another ball and be on the spot, ready to go. We've called our line out, it's arrived and gone. Especially short line outs where they're counting numbers and we might say, well, hey, this is the call, but if their guy leaves at the back, we're ready to throw up to the back. So the guy had a call in mind, but if the opportunity was there, just throw it to the front and move it and go.
What about the opposite? If the game's not going your way, are you getting messages off to change the tempo the other way?
Yep. I said to my first five, because I forget who we're playing, and we defended for about 5 minutes, got penalised and defended again, and then we got a penalty, and I turned around to talk to someone, and then I heard our boys groan, and I'm like, shit, did we miss touch? And they said, no, we tapped it before we missed touch. And I'm like, oh, great. So they ran it back and were attacking us again, and I said to my first five, I said, mate, my mate used to play league for Mount Albert, and it's in its heyday, and I said, you bloody league pufters, I said, when you get behind your goal line and you throw the ball away, when you've got to defend again and have a line drop out, I said, what's all that about? He goes, when you defended for 6 tackles, and you've got another 6 tackles to defend again, he said, that extra 30 seconds is immeasurable to gather your breath, get everyone sorted and get your defensive line organised again. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So I said to my first five, I said, we've just defended it. If you miss touch, they just carry it back and we're back defending straight away, 20 seconds later. I said, slow the game down. I said, do my bootlace up. I said, just say, oh, hang on, ref, I just got to do my bootlace up. And next week, he did exactly that. I'm like, perfect. That shows he's listening. But things like that, we're taking the opportunity to slow the game down. I mean, I'm sure we tell our props too. You know, if we've been defending for 4 or 5 minutes and we've got a scrum against us again, just go down. Just, you know, ref can't start the game without a prop. Buys you a minute. So for your backs to just talk about how we let them through, what we're going to do, how we're going to defend. So I mean, that's breaking the rules, eh? But
Definitely.
It's only breaking the rules if you get caught.
well, exactly. The 11th commandment, don't get caught.
Testing Ryan right
But I mean, how many of you penalised a prop for going down? You know, I mean, the game stops. Who did it the other night? The Highlanders did it, I'm sure.
The Stormers did it a couple of weeks ago, almost every second stoppage versus the Blues, because they just had no energy.
Yeah.
They'd been beaten up the week before, and they were just stoppage after stoppage.
The Highlanders hooker went down under the goalpost and they had a penalty. And then I only tried to say, I can't kick it because he's lying in the spot. And the ref said, come over here and kick it. But then they kicked it out and they had no one to throw the ball in anyway. So the game stopped with the line out, didn't it? Because there's no hooker to throw the ball in. So, those sort of things.
Any last questions? Whether it be about refereeing, whether it be about getting a champion team together, or whether it being about entering rucks, or kicking the most points for Auckland. Any questions, anybody?
Just on behalf of everyone, I just want to thank you for giving your time. Just a couple of things from my speeches. I think like just sharing the communication with both parties, I think is invaluable. You take that time out in the moment, I think we'll give you that time back soon after. So that's really good. Smudge informs me that you're trying to keep your wife happy, so not only have we got one bottle of wine, we've got 2. Apparently it's her favourite one. So, I don't know how you're going to carry it home, but